Hello and welcome. Welcome to today's topic, and it is problem solving made easy. I'm Andy Gilbert, your host for the next hour, Managing Director of M.A.D Thinking. So once we just wait for a few more people to join us, let's just give you a little quick overview if you're not familiar with M.A.D. What I should point out is that M.A.D stands for Go Make a Difference. It's a rallying call for change, for improvement. It's not about staying the same, okay? So if you're here, this is about thinking differently. It's about getting some light bulb moments, okay? Those breakthroughs in thinking. We've been around for 25 years. This year is our 25th anniversary year. And we're celebrating in lots of ways by doing things related to 25. One of the things that we're doing is giving away lots of gifts. So just by being here today, we've given a gift on your behalf through B1G1, which is a charity that supports multiple programs all over the world to do with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So thank you. But today you will also get a chance to win prizes for yourself. And we'll come on to that a little bit later. So we've been around the world for quite a while. We've basically support teams and leaders to think differently, bigger, better and bolder. Our vision is to really make a difference in the world by being the catalyst for at least 1,000 humanitarian and social impact projects. Here's a few of the books. These are our 6 most popular books. And what I'm going to be doing today is drawing from the last 25 years of working around the world in over 40 countries with over 400 organizations, these books to bring you some really practical tips about how to make solving problems easier for yourself. So before we really get going, I just got a couple of questions for you. And one of them is just understanding your experience so far about using the M.A.D methodology, because this then just enables me to tailor the approach I'm taking in the examples based on that. So we've got a poll up here. If you could just take a moment, please, to just answer that. What's your current level of knowledge and experience of using M.A.D? We've got a lot of people on here today, well over 100. So it's a popular topic. And what I normally do is wait until 80% of the people have completed this poll, and then I'll share that with you. So great, we have got over 80%. Now I'm going to end the poll and I'll share it with you so that you can see what it is. Here we go. 37% of people have got no experience at all. So welcome, your first time to the M.A.D experience. Referred by a colleague or attended a previous webinar. Okay. Watch, only 4% of watch. I've got a great TEDx video, by the way. Jade will put a link for you. That Jade is my right-hand person assisting me today, and she'll be operating the chat box, so she can put a link to our website so you can watch that video. Books, okay. Oh, there's quite a wow. 1 in 5 people have completed at least one day of M.A.D thinking. Fab. Okay, thank you for that. There's another poll I'm just going to ask it in a second, but let's just go for an overview of what we're going to be covering today. So I'm going to be covering some of the background research that we've been doing over the past 25 years, and I'm going to share some very practical models, some frameworks, some techniques that can improve both personal and team productivity. What I'm also going to be sharing with you is 50 common factors that most likely to impact team performance. We did this research the end of last year, and we've got those there. I'm going to share them so you'll be able to assess which one's for you. And then also what I've been doing is we're studying what's worked and what's not worked over the last 25 years. And from 67 techniques, best practices that have worked, I've whittled it down to 25. Now, in the blurb for today's session, I said I was going to share 5, but when I actually prepared it, I couldn't just do 5, so I'm going to share with you between 8 and 10 today. So you're going to get a lot of best practices there. Then what I'm going to share with you, one of those best practices is about creating 1% thinking time. And I'm going to share with you how to get the most out of just 1% of your work-related time, what you can do with that to solve problems. And I'll share personally what I do as well. And then I'm going to share with you something called the TREC, the Transforming Results, Enabling Change Team Challenge, that puts all of this together. Now, I mentioned there are prizes, and there are prizes. So the more you interact with me in the chat and questions, the more chances you are of winning some prizes. And we'll end with questions and answers towards the end, but you can also send me questions during the session. I operate with 2 screens in front of me, so as I look at you now and I look slightly down, I can see any questions that you want to ask me, and I will answer as many of those as I can today. If not, either myself or one of the team will get back to you within 48 hours in answer to your question. And on my right side here, I have chat, so I can see as I ask some questions as we go through, interact, and I can see what responses you've got there. So I'm sure you're familiar with that by now, how to do it. Let's just do the second poll. And what I'm really curious to discover is what role you're in. Okay, so this will just enable me to give examples that are most relevant. And sometimes on different webinars, because I've been running these now for a few years, 12 different webinars I've been running. Sometimes we've got a lot of senior people, sometimes a lot of middle managers, team leaders. So what are we saying today? Let's have a look. Just wait for, okay, let's just end the poll there and I'll share it with you. Okay, let's just share the results. So today we've got very few exec leaders, a lot of functional leaders and team leaders. Right, functional and team leaders, good few project leaders as well. I'm going to be pitching at that sort of level. Great. Okay, let's just stop sharing that. Thank you very much. Right, I mentioned to you the research I'd been doing about the 50 most common factors. Here they are. Have a read of these, and as you go down them, I'm going to invite you just to put a few numbers in the chat, okay? Which of these can you see immediately are impacting your team? Just don't put any more than 3, by the way, because I won't do that. But if you want to kind of like put 3 when you reach 3, or pick your top 3, let's just see if there's a little bit of a trend or a theme today, okay? So, you know what? I nearly said, I hope these seem familiar to you. The thing is, I know they'll be familiar to you. I'm not hoping that your team is experiencing these, but let's just put, great. The numbers are coming in. Thanks. Natasha, you're first. 2, 3, and 8. All right. We didn't even get to 10 and you found your top 3 there. Donna has put number 1, unachievable goals. I'll tell you what, we'll look at that one a little bit later, I think. 24, 50, 33, another 33, 45, 1, 6, 39, 15, 16, 4, 33. What is 33? Too much firefighting. Okay, 820, a lot. 3 isn't popular, conflicting priorities. I'm not, it's going so fast now, whizzing past me. Number 6 seems popular, team morale and dynamics. What else have we got? 1146, 28, 627. Yeah, more 6s. To number 20. No, what's number 20? Volume of work. Okay, 33 is coming through strong. Too much firefighting here. Okay, let's have a look at that. Great, thank you. Okay, that's the great things. Right, so hopefully you can see, you can relate to these, and it's not difficult to find 3 there, okay? Somebody's put lack of resources not on the list, Paul. Right, I'll have a look at that one later. So here it is. You want to know the answer? Problem solving made easy. Hindering thought remover. A brand new product. No, I'm kidding. This is actually, this was made by a client of ours that produces cleaning materials. And on his production line a while ago, he actually created something. It's actually lemon air freshener. But could you just imagine if you did have something that removed hindering thoughts from people's heads? Wouldn't that be amazing? Well, what I'd really like to share with you today is some ways that you can remove hindering thoughts from your own head. Actually, you know what? I definitely should not have sprayed that now, because now what I'm breathing in is I'm breathing in lemon air freshener into my mouth now. So anyway, here we go. Research findings. So we've been doing this, as I say, for 25 years. And what I want to share with you, particularly because we've got a lot of new people on here, very quickly, is some underpinning research about why we think in particular ways, okay, and what we can do with that thinking, and whether it's helpful or hindering us. So when we think as ourselves, as individuals, we do various things inside our head. In fact, there are four main things that we do that I'll share with you a little bit later that can either help or hinder our progress. Now, the quality of our thinking determines the actions that we take. Now, there's a lot of people on here today that are team leaders and functional leaders. Think about the individual thinking going on in your people's heads and how that then manifests itself in terms of their behaviors and actions, either helpful or hindering. And of course, those actions and behaviors then translate into the results we get. And if we add up all those results from the teams, we get the organizational results. So there's a direct impact between the quality of our thinking and the results we are currently getting at either a team or an organizational basis. So remember I said that we do four things in our head when we think. Let's have a little look at these. This is what I call the four helpful or hindering thinking components, right? When we talk to ourselves, let's just get a little pointer here, a laser pointer, okay? We either talk to ourselves in questions or statements, or we think in pictures, and we remember stuff from the past, good stuff and not so good stuff, and we imagine stuff that's going to happen, or we think it's going to happen. And of course, if we're thinking it's going to happen, we'll start to act and behave in accordance with it. Now, that could be helpful thoughts that we're imagining, or it could be hindering thoughts that we're imagining. So this is a little exercise that we very often do on our training programs. And you can do it quite now. If you think of a subject, think of something that's bothering you, okay? Don't make it world peace or something like that. And I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the world at the moment, but think of something that is genuinely bothering you and just notice to yourself whether or not the statements you are making inside your head are mainly helpful or mainly hindering. They could be a bit of both. And if you want to draw this out, by the way, what you'd do is you'd put a little tick in the middle here if it was a bit of both, okay? And then notice the questions that you're asking yourself about this thing that's bothering you. Is this question really helpful, solution focused, moving you forward? Or is it hindering? Why has this always happened to me? Sort of question, okay? Then notice your memories associated with this thing that's bothering you. Are those memories mainly helpful, or are they mainly hindering? And finally, the last assessment is just notice what you're imagining in relation to this thing that bothers you. Is that mainly helpful or mainly hindering? So now what we've done is just a little analysis of what's going on in our head at the moment in relation to something that's bothering you, some sort of problem or issue that you've got. The key now is to go, well, actually, if I was to choose to change the element that I'm currently thinking is hindering into something more helpful, what could I possibly say? What question could I possibly ask for myself that is more helpful? What could I possibly remember from the past? Maybe something I've learned or something that was said to me that is more helpful. And what could I possibly imagine that is more helpful. Now, if we're doing that for ourselves, okay, we can then start to go, actually, yeah, that is more helpful. So I could start to repeat that more helpful thought in my mind. I could start to answer that question. Okay, so this is just really practical to tell you and share with you, start to notice your own thinking. Think about your own thinking. Okay. Now, you notice the questions here. One of the things that we've noticed over the years in a best practice is actually, if you can design the right question for the right person, which can be yourself, at the right time, this is a great best practice. So we're really saying to ourselves, right, what's the right question for me right now? What's the right question for this meeting that I'm about to go into? Right? That could be a one-to-one dialogue with a member of your team. Okay, it could be a team meeting, a project meeting. What's the right question right now or in the future for this meeting for that group of people or that person? And the person in this picture is called Paul Hilton. And he was trained in the M.A.D methodology or Think On methodology when we work within NHS and some sensitive settings where perhaps M.A.D is not appropriate as a brand name. We operate under Think On. And Paul was trained, and his situation, he sent me an email that I opened just before our Christmas party, and it stopped me in my tracks. And he told me the story of how his wife was really suffering from pressure on the brain, and he had to drive her 4 hours down from the north to Cambridge to have an operation. But when he got there, they couldn't find a bed for her, okay, to have the operation. And he actually used this thinking methodology to say, right, what is the right question? And we use a pack of thinking cards here with different questions on. And Paul chose the King of Hearts. And the King of Hearts card basically says, who else? Who else could he possibly involve to find a bed for his wife? Okay. And he started coming, and a name came to his mind, and he thought, and he made a call. And the short part of the story is they found a bed. So this can actually be life-saving in terms of asking the right question at the right time for the right person. Okay, and that is probably my biggest tip in terms of problem solving made easy. Turn the problem into a question. Now, the next little exercise for you. This is the Jack of Diamonds, right? A really great technique there, 20 answer technique. Okay, what you have to do, I'll read it out in case you're watching this on a phone. So, or I know some people listen to this as they're walking as well. It says creative possibilities, turn a problem into a solution. So let's suppose we've got a problem, and that problem, I'm going to pick a very common one, is I've not got enough time or not got enough resources. Okay, so I write a lot of books. I've written about 20 books, but even though I've written a lot of books, sometimes I find I haven't got enough time to write my next one. But it's a very hindering statement if I go around saying, I haven't got enough time, I haven't got enough time, I haven't got enough time, right? Because I'm never going to get around to solving that problem. But if I change that hindering statement into a helpful question, I could now start thinking and asking myself, what could I possibly do to free up time? How could I possibly save time? Or who could I possibly involve to help me write my next book? Any of those are good questions. So the methodology is this: turn the statement into a question, but start the question with the words, what could I possibly, or how could I possibly, or who could I possibly involve? Okay. And then you're flipping it into a helpful question. Then answer it 20 times as fast as you possibly can, right? And that should take you 4 or 5 minutes or so. 4 or 5 minutes, and I guarantee you that if you keep going, keep breathing, keep writing, but that's it, don't evaluate, somewhere between number 10 and number 20, you will have a breakthrough in new thinking, okay? And this is about creating fresh. The way the mind works, you'll come out with the easy, most obvious answers, and the things that you've already thought about, you'll recall memory to start with. But going for that stretch can make a massive difference. Now, this is something that we teach teams to use. But imagine in your team, if you were doing this to solve a problem and everybody was doing this in advance of a meeting. You could have 10 people, say, come into your meeting, each with 20 possible answers to a problem. Now, sure, there'd be duplicates, but I guarantee you're going to get at least 50 or 60 new ideas on ways of tackling it. And it's a much more efficient use of time to do than having a discussion about the problem. Let's talk in questions. Okay, so this is also something you can introduce. This is another best practice out of the 25. Best practice number 12, introduce 1% thinking time. Now, let's suppose that you work a 40-hour week, and I know it could be more, it could be less, but 1% of 40 hours is 24 minutes. Now, whenever I talk to chief executives, and I coach those a lot, or senior directors, I always say to them, I said, would you be prepared to allow your employees, your team, your staff, 24 minutes a week to do some great thinking, as long as they were working on business-related issues? And they always go, yeah, of course I would. I'd give them more than 1%. So what could you possibly do with that 1% thinking time? Well, you could just do that exercise, the 20 answer technique. You could do that 4 times. 4 times a week, not necessarily on the same session. Take a problem, turn it into a question, answer it 20 times. Take you 5 or 6 minutes. Do it another day, do it another day. Well, that would be 4 problems where you've got a way forward. Okay, so if you like that, just make a note of it, have a practice of doing it. What could you also do? Well, this is the model for which I'm probably best well known. This is what's called the M.A.D results framework. 7 key principles here. And this is mainly taken from my best-selling book, M.A.D, The Art of Making a Difference, where we did some research back in 1998, 1999, 4,000 hours worth of interviews, film observations. And this all boiled down to answering the question about what is the simplest way to explain the success factors that people naturally apply. Okay, now we went originally looking for a process. We didn't discover a process. We discovered 7 key success principles. So what you could do in that 1% thinking time is start to ask yourself questions around these. Or you could use this as a diagnostic. If you've got a problem, you could say, actually, what is my problem? Is it because I'm not motivated enough or my team's not motivated enough? Is it that we haven't got clarity of a clear goal? Is it that I don't believe or the team don't believe, they've not got enough confidence? Is it that we haven't done enough possibility thinking? This is about ideas generation. And what we identified in our research was that there are 10 key possibility areas that apply to anything. And in our coaching cards, these are the hearts cards. Ace to 10 of hearts, we're talking about possible tasks, resources, reasons to involve, people to involve, communicate goal, ways to gain buy-in, obstacles, risks, ways to overcome and minimize, and assumptions. Okay? Have we really thought about those 10 possibility thinking areas, or could we do more? Have we prioritized those in accordance with our goal and set time aside? Are we involving enough people that can add value? And have we got their buy-in? This is what we call the buy-in line here. You know what you want, you know who you want to involve, but you've got to communicate it and get their buy-in. Is it because I'm not taking responsibility for either my choices, my time, or actually others are not taking responsibility? So hopefully this can be giving you some clues. So you can be thinking about what are the differences that you really want to make this year, short-term or long-term, okay? And then the 7th key principle here is about taking action and measuring results. If you're not getting the action, if you're not getting the results that you want, Go back to responsibility and just do some checking here and just say, actually, well, do I need to do a bit more involving others, a bit more possibility thinking, a bit more clarity on my goal, or even redefine it? Should I park it because I'm not bothered? What can I do? Remember, we talked about those 4 helpful and hindering thinking components, and how if we change our thinking, have more helpful thoughts, better questions, imagining the future, remembering the past, that can improve our belief about the achievability of our goal. So regardless of the difference you want to make for yourself, for others, teams, the organization, or the wider world, this is about creating thinking time. If you've got any questions, by the way, because I know I'm going through this really fast, I want to give you as much value and share as much as I can. Please, please, please put the questions in and I will answer them either as we go along or towards the end. So, providing clarity. I mentioned that this is really important, certainly during times of change and uncertainty, to give your teams clarity. So, one of our best practices is about choosing which of the 4 goal defining techniques is the best fit. So, SMART goals, I'm sure you're aware of those. Most big organizations have them. There's a thing called umbrella goals because they look like an umbrella for a project breakdowns. But visioning, Martin Luther King, he didn't say, I have a SMART goal, did he? I have a dream, a vision. I see that one day. Okay, so think about this is the imagined future. Okay, are we using that when appropriate? And then there's a thing called qualitative goals. This is for where people are, you can't SMART a goal, right? Where it's about team morale, where it's about relationships, or whether it's about emotions and feelings like confidence or happiness, work-life balance. These are all areas where you should have a qualitative goal, and there's a specific method for doing that. So a best practice, certainly as a manager and a team leader, you need all 4 in your toolkit. So let's just do a little interaction now with you. We've talked a little bit about goals, but I'm going to put up some common goal defining mistakes. And just to here, see which of these is the most common for either yourself or colleagues. Is it that goals are too vague? They can't be auditable because they're not precise and specific enough. Is it because they haven't got a calendar date on them? Maybe you've got 2 goals in the same sentence, right? And the reason that that's a problem is if you only achieve 1, you tend to say, oh, I failed. So separate out 2 goals and you can have 2 wins. Sometimes the goal includes too much of the why or how we're going to do it instead of just what exactly needs to be achieved. Sometimes people talk about, I want to, for example, lose weight or things they don't want to happen, and they phrase them in the negative or what they don't want rather than what they want to imagine happening. So always phrase it what you want. Spice Girls, tell me what you want, what you really, really want, okay? Maybe it's that you're attempting, if you've only got 1 tool, right, in your toolkit, as Maslow says, if all you've got is a hammer, you tend to see everything as a nail, right? If all you've got is SMART goals, you tend to SMART everything instead of using the right technique. Or it might be that you've got a goal, but you're not doing the checking of the reason why, the desire and the motivation. It might be that you haven't got enough self-belief and you need to redefine your goal accordingly. So just put a number in and we'll see what patterns or trends we've got today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. Let's see what we've got. What's the most common for you? We've got a lot of 1s and we've got quite a few 3s. 1s and 3s, 7s are taking it at the moment. 3s, we've got a bit of it. 4s are coming strong, including the white. Also number 1, right? 3s, 2 or more goals in the same sentence. So number 1, 3, and 7 have just flashed before me. They seem to be the most common areas. So again, you know, we've developed tools and techniques, and I'll give you access to a free mobile app at the end of this session as well. So if you haven't got a pack of cards, relax. I can give you these questions, but these are the 4 goal defining techniques. So, you know, when we teach people coaching skills or thinking skills or problem solving skills, We just basically say, make sure, you're using the right tool and the technique for that. We also do a webinar. We haven't got one planned at the moment, but keep tuned. Keep looking back at the website, because every month we put on 1 or 2 webinars, and I sometimes run a goal defining masterclass where we do an hour just all on tips and techniques about that. Okay, and that's also a very popular one that we run for organizations as well, where they just go, right, can you just do an hour on everything you know about goals? So what have we covered so far? Let's just do a little recap. We've covered 2 frameworks that are research driven. Okay, one is understanding what's going through our head right now. Is it helpful or is it hindering? Right, and knowing that we can flip from a hindering to a helpful thought, or we can spot them in our team members. And the second model is a framework of key success principles that we can use either as a diagnostic for problems, things that are off track, or we can use it as a development framework where we look at asking questions about these to coach ourselves or coach our teams, or we can use it as an analytical framework, right, where we can look at the past and say, what's the reason why we didn't succeed? Which bits of this was weaker or missing? Okay. So any questions about either of those 2 frameworks, please put them in the questions for me, not the chat. Okay, and I will answer any of those. So I mentioned that this could be used as a development framework. And in the book, Go Mad About Coaching, probably my 2nd or 3rd most popular book, this one or the Change book, what I do is I go through this and use it as a coaching model. And in fact, actually, if you want the cards, we do a package, a training package that's got some videos, it's got the cards, it's got the book all in there. But let's just work our way through it so that you don't have to get those. 2 questions to start with. You can ask them in either order. What results am I looking to achieve? And what's the strongest reason for wanting to do that? That's just making sure that you've got a degree of motivation there. Then we can do a little bit of checking here, self-belief. How confident am I that I can achieve that goal? Making sure you've got the right goal defining technique for clarity. Then we can go over and look at those 10 possibility areas. Do some exploring, think wider and deeper than we've ever done before. Okay, and from those, we can sort out the most important ones. And once we've sorted out the most important ones, we can start making decisions about who to involve. Who are the key stakeholders that need to be involved here? And also, how could you get their buy-in? How could you influence them to get those extra resources or time or whatever that you need? That may be their expertise. And then we could start to say, okay, what are the key tasks that need doing? And really start to build a really great action plan. Okay, deciding who's going to be responsible for what. And then what is the plan? When will we review it? That's basically taking yourself around that framework very quickly to do with goals. Now, that's for other sessions. Today, we're very much focused on problem solving made easy. So the problem solving using this is to say, actually, which of those questions haven't I asked? But if I did ask them, would cause me to move forward. Helpful questions. Right, let's go back to that 1% thinking time. That 1% thinking time, this is what I do, all right, for my 1% thinking time. I do this at regular intervals. Sometimes I literally just say that I'm taking an hour out now. I'll block the time in my diary, right? Plan it in your diary. Here's a little tip. Put in VIP time. Very important person, that's you. So if anybody else looks in your diary, they're going to think you have a meeting with a very important person. Yeah. I shared this in a coaching session with a client once, and she put it in there. She put blocks of time, and then she couldn't remember who the VIP was, and she eventually remembered it was herself. Design the right question. Either use a pack of cards, that's what I do here, or turn that problem into a good quality question. Think about the best place to go for this, right? Or think about the person that you could perhaps involve to help you with your thinking. Get your notebook, answer the question on paper or type it in, right? And record it. and then plan further time in your diary to take action. That's what I do to basically free up my thinking time. So another best practice that we've identified over the years is to develop everybody in the team to think bigger, better and bolder. So what we did during lockdown, the pandemic, we converted all our training into online modules, and we've got a program, and this is going to be one of the prizes today. We're going to give away at least one of these prizes to people that are participating today. And it's 3 to 4 hours of self-managed learning, all about those 7 key principles. And by doing this in a team, you can create a common language for problem solving. Okay, it contains the 20 answer techniques, so they can all learn and practice that. And then the other thing is it introduces them to 30, 60 and 90-day challenges. And this is another best practice. When you introduce 30, 60, 90-day, go make a difference challenges, and everybody in the team is doing that. And then imagine you've got lots of teams, maybe 10, 20, 25 teams, all doing that. You actually start to get massive culture change and you get transformational results. So that's the best practice in its own right. Right, tell you what, I'm just going to go, I've got some questions in here. Paul has asked, has the pandemic changed any of your processes in any way, Andy? Yes, it has. It hasn't changed any of those frameworks and none of the key principles, but the process of how they are applied has massively changed, because we couldn't do face-to-face training and development, apart from the NHS, where we've continually worked with them throughout the pandemic to help them solve e-rostering systems and improve patient care. That's the only organisation we're working for. But in terms of process, the process of learning, the process of sharing, the process of coaching, digital and remote, massively on that one. Alan's asked, how can you scale the number of goals to achievable time in a team where the pull to action is dynamic and not constant? Oh, okay, this is an interesting question. Scaling the number of goals to achievable time, right? One of those goal defining techniques is called umbrella goals. So the umbrella is likely to remain the same. Okay, the vision could remain the same as well, but the umbrella contains lots of different goals underneath it. And one of the things about umbrella goals is they contain SMART goals and qualitative goals. So some might be achieved and some change. So it's really important in using an umbrella goal, because you can use this as a communication tool for people, is to always put a date on it so people know the current state. Now, I think we could do a lot more on that. So Alan, I would say, and Jade, if you could make a note to contact Alan when we're doing the masterclass on goal defining, we'll do a lot more on that for you. Right, let's do let's go into the next bit. Lots to cover. Team productivity research. Did this a couple of years ago, just before lockdown started, okay? And we were really looking at how much impact could a manager make with their team if they introduced the M.A.D methodology to them, not us. That's the important thing. So we studied all these teams. Some made a really big, strong impact. And if anybody's interested in that, just put impact video in the chat, and Jade will send you something afterwards on that. But what I want to share with you is this. These team leaders, right, had an external coach, which was one of our team, okay? They also had a senior manager and a sponsor where they were working on a challenge for. They also had direct reports in their team, and they had team meetings. So what was the thing that made the biggest difference in helping their team to solve problems and achieve greater productivity? Well, this was the answer. And this is now a best practice, okay, out of the 25. Purposeful and productive conversations, where the conversations were A, happening, B, they were purposeful and productive, predominantly through the use of better questions, the right question at the right time for the right person or group of people. You know what? Productivity soared. So what does that tell us? It tells us that we should spend more time having purposeful and productive meetings, thinking about those meetings rather than just diving into them. What we also identified that there were 3 levels of conversations. The conversation you have in your head and so you're thinking to yourself, that's a level 1. A level 2 conversation is just where there's 2 people talking. Okay, could be casual conversation, it could be a formal one-to-one. And then a level 3 is where there's 3 or more people in that meeting, and again, it's more purposeful and productive. And again, we do a whole new another webinar on this about a productivity masterclass. So watch out for that one as well. So here's my favorite German word, Kopfkino. Okay, quick bonus points. Anybody know what Kopfkino stands for? If so, put it in the chat now while I have a quick sip of water. Mind Cinema. Andy, yes, you know that you've worked with me and I know you're Go.Mad trained. Okay, Mind Cinema. Okay, Head Cinema. Mind Cinema. This is the thoughts that go on in your head. Okay, so if we wanted to go from A to B, we would want helpful thoughts going on in our head, wouldn't we? We would be wanting to imagine in our head cinema that exactly what B looks like. This is our destination. So if we're going to have purposeful and productive conversations with other people, one-to-one or in groups, could you imagine if it was like this, where every thought was helpful, high quality questions, right? Really helping us move along that line, great memories, imagining the future, talking in a really helpful way about ourselves, each other, the situation. Well, that'd be great. There's a lot of companies that use lean. And if you know about lean, lean is eliminating the waste. And they talk about the 7 wastes. But what's missing in lean is the 8th waste. And that is wasteful thinking. And this is what wasteful thinking looks like. It goes all over the place, right? It's kind of off the golden thread there, or the red arrow. Okay, it's the hindering stuff. Now, you might eventually get to B, but look at all the wasteful questions, the wasteful conversations, the wasteful meetings. What if we can eliminate those? So if we were to observe and influence the thinking of other people in our conversations, in our meetings, you can start to pick up the clues that actually their Kopfkino, their head cinema, in their head cinema, they might be having a horror movie, okay? It might be a disaster movie there, right? Are we going to leave them like that in that meeting or that project? Or are we going to intervene and have a purposeful and productive conversation? Which leads us to another best practice, number 15, improve and remove meetings. So sometimes when we're working with clients, we set ourselves the goal. We're going to remove 1/3 of meetings and we're going to improve the remaining 2/3. Why? To save time and money, to improve productivity, to create breakthroughs, to engage team members more, and most importantly, just to remove the waste that's unnecessary there. So here's a problem for you. Culture. Anybody got that as a problem? Yeah. So how do you change or improve culture? Let's just do a quick thing here. The easiest way to do this is to improve and remove meetings. Change the quality of the meetings. A meeting is only a conversation, isn't it? And in that conversation, there's the opportunity to ask better questions, to make them more purposeful and productive. What about the agenda even before the meeting? How many agendas do you see with a great high quality question on it? It's normally statements, right? And problems, by the way, exist mainly as statements in people's minds when they speak them, right? And we just need to turn them into questions. So ask better questions. We can audit, right? And we run actual thinking effectiveness audits where we will actually study the meeting. And again, we were doing this throughout the pandemic. And it makes it so much easier to do when you can study a team or a Zoom meeting and actually allocate points according to the number and the quality of questions that are asked. Then you can give feedback. So if you're interested in that, just put in meetings audit and we can send you some information about that. Here's the third framework that I just want to share with you briefly, leadership framework. Quick diagnostic. Are your leaders taking responsibility, right? Do they have a shared vision of what leadership responsibility means? Do they actually have a shared vision for the organization? Some of the ones that I work with, I do team coaching with them. One of the things we have to do is to actually go, is the vision shared? Are we all aligned to it? Can you all explain the reason why we're going in this direction post-pandemic? Does everybody, are they all on the same page? Can you explain the why and the what together? Is the consistency and alignment? We just talked a little about culture. Is the culture what you want? This is a diagnostic I'm doing now to just define the real areas of the problem. What about your managers? What's the quality of their thinking and planning? Okay, yesterday I was talking with an organization that's expanded from 800 people through acquisition to 8,000 people. Okay, and there's lots of integration issues to be done there. What if we could give them a shared thinking toolkit and methodology to problem solve together? Save a lot of time. Okay, what about your people? What if we could get them doing 30, 60, 90-day challenges supported by their managers, role model by leaders? Do we think the culture might change after a while? So again, this is some of the diagnostic questions I use when I'm working at that senior team level. So I hope you find those useful. Let's look at, go back to the research finding, the 50 most common factors. So what have we actually done with those and turned them into? Well, we actually produced a pack of cards. A pack of cards, each card contains one of those 50 common areas. And you can see them here in this diagram, all spread out on a table. So imagine spreading them out on a table and you or a team picking which ones were affecting them the most. And then when you spin each card over, what we've done is we've cross-referenced them with the 25 best practices. Now, obviously, we couldn't put them all on the card and they weren't all relevant to every one of those 50 problem areas. But let me just share one with you. Lack of clarity. This was number one on the list, and this was picked by a number of people. So what we actually do here is lack of clarity, and you'll see there's a question. What impact is this having on you and others? So this is a discussion question for the manager to ask their team, or the coach to ask the leader. So here are 3 out of 25 best practices that are relevant to that. Choose which of the 4 goal defining areas, right, is the best fit. Have more purposeful and productive conversations. In other words, more clarity in those meetings and conversations, and design the right question at the right time. So what we've done is we've produced another book, an electronic book, with the 25 best practices in, with videos about each best practice and worksheets, so that you can then work through and take all that learning. So in answer to the question earlier, has the process changed? Yes, the process of transferring knowledge and learning has changed. So there's a triple impact effect I want to share with you here. And I just want to share with you this Trek overview. This is the challenge that we've created for 25 organizations this year. The challenge is to say, find 25 leaders, okay, in your organization. And what we'll do is we'll give them the Leaders Handbook of 25 best practices. This is the digital book, interactive, all the learnings on there. And in there, there's a library of 2 to 7 minute videos of all the best practices and lots of resources. And we'll give you a pack of catalyst cards for the leader and a pack of the coaching cards. So you've got that, so you can do all your thinking then. And we'll give you the digital Thinking Bigger, Better and Bolder for all of your team. So they've got all the language, they've got all the tools there, 3 to 4 hours. And after that, you start doing 30, 60, 90-day challenges. And we've got 12 steps, right, of a success route way that you can use to embed these 25 best practices over the course of 12 months. And a way to measure it, monthly and quarterly templates. And we'll also provide monthly coaching and support webinars for that Trek leader. Every month, myself or one of the team will be covering 3 or 4 of those best practice. That's basically what we've been developing over the last 8 months or so. And the triple impact is this: you get business improvement, and we guarantee the results with a 10 times return on investment, leadership development and coaching, all your leaders get developed to coach, and team development, because the leaders are developing their teams, right? And engagement. That's come from a result of our productivity research. So to be honest, this is the most impactful program challenge that I've ever designed, just taking on board everything from the last 25 years. So let's have a look at how this all fits together. Let's go back to the beginning, do a recap and a summary. And while I'm doing that, think about questions that you might have for me. The 4 thinking components that go on in our head can be helpful or hindering, and we can choose to identify them in ourselves or others or in a meeting, right, and change them if we want. We've got a framework of 7 key principles that we can use to solve problems or to develop ourselves and others and projects and plans, or as a coaching methodology. We know that there are 3 types of meeting that we have. As those thoughts turn into our actions, we can improve the conversations with ourselves, one-to-one conversations with others, and level 3, team or project meetings. So we start to take some different actions now, maybe 30, 60, 90-day challenges. And that causes us to get some different results, particularly if we're applying 25 best practices as some of those actions. So those actions turn into results. And if we're not getting the results, remember, we just do some more thinking. But eventually this adds up to transforming organizations. So hopefully you can now see the summary of what we're doing and how this methodology and some of the very practical things can be used to make problem solving easy. So we have 7 minutes left for 2 things: questions and answers. I've got some in at the moment, please put more in there, but we also need to give some prizes away. So we are giving away this year 25 of our top programs. This is 4 days at our headquarters in sunny Leicestershire with myself and one of my team, and we will go through all of this with you. It's our flagship program, costs quite a bit of money, 2,750, and it's yours for free if you are a lucky winner today. We will also give away at least one of the stretch programs that I mentioned. This is Thinking Bigger, Better, Bolder. Okay, so this is for 3 to 4 hours. So we need to pick some winners. Please, in the chat box, could you put a number? We've got a lot of people on today, so I'm going to ask you to pick a number between 1 and 50. Whatever the first number is I see, that person will win. Number 45, Jade. Stop. Well, that's great. Now, can you number 45, and can we also pick a number between 51 and 99, please? 51, okay. 60 was the first one I saw on there. Jade, you're looking for numbers 45 and 60, and there's another one. 66 jumped out at me there, if we've got a spare one as well. While Jade is doing that, please design the right question for the right person at the right time. I'm not pretending to be Einstein, but it was pretty good when it came to questions. Okay, Tracy has asked, there is an incredible negative bias in the world just now. Do you have a suggestion for how to intervene and prevent self and others going straight to this negative default? I can't solve the world problem on this one, but what we could start practicing and encouraging others to practice is, when you hear or see something that is hindering, I would just say, what's more helpful to say, or what's the most helpful question we could be asking? What's the more helpful thing that we could be remembering, or what's the most helpful thing we could be doing? So just flip when you see something, well, what's more helpful? Or even challenge directly. Is that helpful or hindering to carry on with that thought process? That would be my thought there. Mohammed's asked, hi, any chance of having a copy of the slides? not a copy of the slides as a slide deck, but we'll give you access to this video afterwards, so you can watch that again. Jade will sort that out. Andy, do you have any tips for using all these techniques with teams that are remote, online rather than face-to-face? Yes, to be honest, it's the Trek program or the Trek challenge, because we designed this so it can all be done remote. Okay. What's interesting is having a pack of cards, and I think you've got a pack of cards, Andy. You can lay them out in front of you when you're having a conversation and Teams meeting, and just pick the right question at the right time. You can give people the online content now, like we've never done before, and electronic workbooks to do that. So that would be my tips there, to use them all. Ken, we've developed a PPPM framework, creative problem solving, and transformation is key to this. Yes, it's a statement. Fab. Okay. Katie, how do we manage entrenched, hindering thoughts in a team? Right. One thing, Katie, is surface them. Get the hindering thoughts out, but in a safe way. Right. And then start to look for clusters. Start to use the questioning coaching cards or the catalyst cards, so people start to work on solutions. Adrian, Andy, can you talk to Man United board owners and sort them out? Yes, I could, but I'm not going to, because I support another team. Okay, so right, I'm conscious of time going on. Let's go to others. I've got more questions. I promise I'll answer them, and I'll hang on a bit after 12 if you want to answer a question. Let's go to the Jade, are we ready to draw the winners? Yes, we are. Who is the winner? The winner of a place on our solution-focused thinking program, that's the 4-day program, is Darren Hull from Direct Line Group. Darren, congratulations. One of the team will be in touch with you to sort that out. The winner of the Stretch Digital course is Donna Moxon from Shrewsbury and Telford Hospital NHS Trust. Well done, Donna. We'll get you an access code for that. So thank you for that. Now, I have got a prize for all of you. But let's just answer a few more questions first, if I can. Remote working has altered team dynamics hugely. Can these techniques help to restore team harmony? Yes. Hayley, I'm being brutal with you there because you asked me a closed question. If you'd have asked me, how could these techniques possibly be used to restore team harmony, I'd have given you a different answer, but we haven't got time. But get in touch, and we will. I'll sort that out for you, and we'll tell you how that can be done. Right. Oh, Ken has pressed too early and sent something too early. How do we propose a way to find time for senior executives to allow them to explore thinking differently, to reshape the decision-making and governance structure of an organization? How do you propose a way to find time? To be honest, what I normally do is I normally have a conversation with them about the quality of questions that they're about to ask in their next meeting. And what I normally do is I can share with them, if they give me 3 questions, I can normally rephrase 2 of those questions so they see instant impact. That's a 5-minute exercise. But creating some time out, could do a 1-hour session with them, right? 1 hour to think differently. It's about just getting a block of time that is linked to their reason why. What have they got an issue with, a problem, right? Or a challenge or a goal, okay? Simon says, can you pop a link to your website? Yeah, it's www.gomadthinking.com, okay? Or just Google Go-Mad Thinking and you'll come to it there. Last one, Fionn, is how often would you recommend that teams and team leaders revisit goals and look at progress made? Totally depends on the size of the goal and how important it is, all right? And that is for you to decide. But if it's a large goal, you know, I do weekly reviews of goals with some of my team. We do monthly reviews, we do quarterly reviews, right? And if it's something really burning and urgent, You know, you might be working on a tech development project. You might be looking at your goals on a daily or an hourly basis. So totally dependent. Right, it's 12 o'clock, folks. It's about there. Thank you for being with me. I know it's been fast. I know it's been furious, but I do hope it's been fun. If you'd like to give any feedback into the chat, please do. If you're interested in the Trek challenge, please just put Trek in there for your team or for your organization. We'll do that. If you're interested in meeting audits, put meeting audits in there and we'll get back to you on there. Anything you want to ask for, please ask. Asking is for free. There's a lot of stuff we can give you. Here's just a little final thought for you. Some people want it to happen. Some people wish it would happen. Others make it happen. That actually picture is on our staircase, okay? And I look at that several times a day as I walk upstairs to my office where I'm now broadcasting to you from. So the final thought, if you're still with me, is here is our Thinking for Good app. Just go to Google Store, App Store, download it, it's free. It's got loads of questions on there, over 200 questions. It's got some video resources on there. We developed this for the NHS during lockdown and we're now giving it away free. So it's a fantastic resource. It's even got a coaching session for me on there. I'm repeating this session live. I could just stick the video on, couldn't I? But it's much more fun when it's live and interacting with you. So we're doing another one. So if you want to come back, feel free. It will be slightly different, but the same slides. But tell colleagues about it as well. So from me, as my mother always taught me to say, thank you for having me. And as my father always taught me to say, go forth and make a difference. Okay, take care, stay safe. I'll stay on for another 10 seconds or so. I'll just scroll down a bit of chat. Thank you, Ian. I'm glad you found it informative. Nicola will send you on stuff on the Trek course. Adrian, thank you. Glad you found it excellent. Paul, Tracy, thank you as well for being here. Katie, great that you thought it amazing as always. Come back for more. Okay, good stuff. Right, folks, it's 12 o'clock in the UK. I know we've got people on from around the world here, but whatever you choose to do later in the day, make it productive. Stay safe, take care, I'll see you soon.